On this day, 10 years ago, was the eve of one of the most anticipated pieces of media in human history. A game that had to fulfill so many expectations, and was to follow in the footsteps of Halo 2, the highest grossing release in entertainment history, that ended with a massive cliffhanger. A game of which the platform it was built on was dependent on it for long-term success. This game was Halo 3. As the direct continuation of Halo 2, Halo 3 had some boots to fill. Halo 2's contentious cliffhanger would have to be resolved in a satisfying manner, and after its massive multiplayer success, responsible for almost solely getting Xbox Live off the ground, the multiplayer had to do more than just impress. Halo 3 was also the conclusion to a trilogy comprised of two already groundbreaking, critically acclaimed games that broke God knows how many records and raised the FPS bar higher than ever. In anticipation for this, Microsoft went the full mile with marketing, pumping over $40 million into it to not only create some pretty damn good advertising for the game, but to help expand Halo beyond its core audience, and also hope to push more Xbox 360s. A huge hype bubble had been built, and what would happen when it burst was totally unknown.
Well, talking about Chiefs, Master Chief is back in the most anticipated video game ever, Halo 3. The official release is tonight at midnight, which of course means hardcore gamers are lining up to get first crack at it. Fox 17's Carl Apple live in Walker tonight, where the gamers are counting down the minutes.
On September 25th, 2007, the bubble burst, and what came out of it was the biggest entertainment release in history. Halo 3 sold 3.3 million copies in under 2 weeks. It made $300 million within its first week, and over 1 million people played it concurrently on day one. The following month's Xbox 360 sales proceeded to over double, and since launch, the game has sold over 14.5 million copies. The release was so big that it was even speculated that it caused a 27% reduction in box office revenue. Halo 3 received glowing reviews, with specific praise focused on the multiplayer and new Forge mode, and the game settled on an average of 94 out of 100. So, all in all, it's safe to say it mostly lived up to its hype. But the question today, on the eve of its 10th anniversary, is what made Halo 3 such a damn good game? Let's take a look. Halo 3's campaign had quite a few boxes to tick coming off the back of Halo 2. It had to conclude a trilogy, make up for the cliffhanger, merge together two factions previously at war with each other into an alliance that had to have a reason to exist within the game's story, and on top of all of this, it had to be simple, more so than Halo 2. In one fell swoop, Bungie crossed the latter two boxes off by only having one protagonist, and one story with an ultimate goal that required the combined force of both factions. This meant all important characters were on opposite ends of the same goal, as opposed to Halo 2, where different characters had multiple goals that didn't sync up with each other until the very end. Although I did like that aspect of Halo 2, this made Halo 3's story super easy to get into for any fan, and fun to play through because you don't have to spend time memorizing all these intricacies relating to each faction and characters within that faction. You just focus on the main goals of the protagonist, Master Chief. In doing so, the casual fans were catered to, but Bungie did not ignore the hardcore story fans by any means. Using hidden terminals, they lay the groundwork for arguably the most important Halo story outside of the main story, the Forerunner Flood War. These terminals first popped up when you got to the Ark, and by finding each one, you gathered information from the last days of this ancient, enigmatic race, at war with one of the same forces you are on the very same installation that you are on. This was a nice touch that fantastically reinforced Halo 3's story, as well as the entire Halo story in its entirety, and created shockwaves that are still very much being felt today. Halo 3 focused more on the grandiose story arcs than the smaller, more personal ones of Halo 2, likely part of the story having to be simpler. The story mostly focuses on the grand scheme of things and the bigger picture that is affected by our actions. This makes for some truly epic, large-scale moments and shots, really only possible because of this. On the flip side, there's one iconic mission that defies this: Cortana, a hyper-personal subplot for Chief that culminates in a frustrating but narratively fantastic mission, which does ultimately play into the larger plot. Going from the grandiose themes and set pieces of the Covenant to the tight corridors and personal mission for Chief in Cortana served as some fantastic narrative, and her rescue moment was a truly beautiful and memorable moment. What preceded this was a return to Halo 3's form, that ended with arguably the most bombastic, adrenaline-pumping ending to any video game ever, the legendary Warthog Run. One of the things that Halo 3's campaign managed so well that it really doesn't get all that much credit for is tying up all the loose ends that the trilogy itself set up. The Covenant and Truth met the most satisfying end for any villain ever. The Flood outbreak was mostly contained, but for a price, and Chief's story ended as it began, drifting through space in a cryopod. These epic, satisfying tie-ups felt so natural in the story, and given the amount of them that there actually are in the game, that's a pretty impressive feat. Halo 3 was also the first game to innovate the Flood, adding the pure forms that didn't drop after 15 rounds. More lore and more gameplay options, always a good addition. But while we're on the topic of the Flood, who could forget that truly spine-chilling moment when the Flood drop down in front of you, and instead of thinking you're gonna kill them, they defend you while you kill Truth. What an ending to the Covenant story arc. Joe Staten could not have nailed that anymore. Returning to Halo 3's focus on the grandiose, this applies to the level design as well. Gone were the days of Halo 2's hyper-linear missions. Halo 3 reintroduced Halo CE's more open, free level design. So instead of multiple linear paths like in the case of Halo 5, Halo 3 opted for just one large area, which gave us total freedom of choice in terms of the path we take to our goal. You combine this with Halo 3's fantastic 4-player co-op, and you've got hours of exploration on your hands. Bungie even modified certain missions for co-op too, like the ability to do the final Warthog run in 4 ghosts, or choppers or mongooses. Everything's more fun with a few friends, and Bungie embraced the couch co-op with a few beers mentality in the best way possible. Halo 3's multiplayer, possibly the biggest creator of childhood memories humankind has ever bared witness to. I think it's safe to say the majority see Halo 3's multiplayer as the best in the series, and with the insane population numbers from back in the day to back this up, I think Halo 3's multiplayer could be considered more than just a mere success. Although it did remove some fan favourite things from Halo 2, such as button combos and hit-scan weapons, most see Halo 3's multiplayer as an almost across-the-board improvement. Bungie did a really damn good job at building a multiplayer that played so well in the most casual, laid-back setting, and then also in the most competitive, highly skilled setting. And this really showed in how big both of these communities got during Halo 3's tenure. The casual scene exploded, partially down to Forge and custom games, which we're going to cover later, where players could alter maps and modify game types and share them around to create basically whatever they wanted. There were entire lists of playlists created for playlists of games that were unranked, where players of any skill level would match up with each other in more casual environments, like Big Team Battle, Griffball and Multi-Team, all of which offered loads of different variations of standard game modes like CTF and Assault. Game modes fit for purely just messing around and having fun, rather than focusing on pure balance and getting rid of any extra noise. These were the playlists that we all played and didn't give a shit if we won or lost or drew in, we just played to mess around and have fun. And then, the competitive scene, which was already rapidly growing off the back of Halo 2, That also exploded as well, and hundreds upon hundreds of teams were travelling across the US and sometimes the entire globe to compete at MLG tournaments in America, broadcast online to tens of thousands of people, which back then was astronomical. One of the main things that benefited both the casual and competitive scenes so much in Halo 3 was its fantastic map and game type variety. The maps were excellently crafted for so many different game modes. You had maps built for 4v4 Slayer and objectives, 5v5 Slayer and objectives, and sometimes with vehicles in too, like High Ground, and then also big scale 6v6 big team battle, and then of course you had Forge on top of that to create little 1v1 maps like Octagon, or even bigger play spaces for 8v8 and other specific party game modes. There really was a map for every type of play in a game mode in Halo 3, and the DLC maps only exacerbated this. Then, of course, you have the fantastic array of game modes available. Again, game modes built for the more competitive, tight 4v4 settings like CTF and Oddball, and then others built for more large-scale battles like VIP and Assault. And then on top of all of this, you had the more party-like game modes like Infection and Juggernaut and King of the Hill, where you could just sit in a LAN environment with your friends and, again, just mess around on them. And then, on top of all of this, Bungie made variations of these game modes, like Ninjas or Alpha Sight for Infection. And then you also had the option to make, save, and share your own game modes, sometimes even specific to maps that you yourself had made in Forge, on the file share. And as if all of this couldn't get any better, Bungie absolutely nailed the playlists. There was a nice selection of ranked playlists if you wanted to go and try hard, and then a very healthy number of social playlists for when you and maybe a few guests wanted to just chill out. And then, of course, anybody who played Halo 3 back in the day will remember the legendary Double XP weekends. I remember checking Bungie.net on a Friday morning to see what they were going to have that weekend. These playlists were where Bungie would handpick a specific game type like Infection, or Griffball, or Fiesta, and have a dedicated playlist for them over the weekend that everyone in the community would just flock towards. It almost felt like a gathering, competitive players, casual players, fun players, everyone just getting together in one playlist and just having fun. And then in the background, we have the ranking and progression system, which was not only the best in the entire Halo series, but for me, the best that I've ever seen in gaming ever. You were rewarded with 1 XP for a win, 0 for a loss, and you lost 1 for quitting. This progressed you through the military ranks, which are really cool and showed next to your name in the lobby. And then in the background, at the same time, you progressed up the skill numbers from 1 to 50. The progression and ranking system interacted together in a weird but really good way. And getting out of a game to see your rank or level increase after so many games of grinding and trying to get it to go up was one of the most satisfying experiences I think any of us will ever experience. Halo 3 multiplayer is a true gem, and to sum up all of my good memories and everything that I loved about it and that it did right in one video would be impossible. It's one of those things that you just have to play yourself, and you have to sort of retrieve the memories from back in the day if you played then to truly grasp how fantastic it really is.
Double kill. Gain the lead. Triple kill. Overkill.
Halo 3's biggest achievement wasn't its campaign, and it wasn't its multiplayer. It was how it fostered one of the biggest and yet most tightly knit and friendly communities in the entirety of gaming. During Halo 3's reign, everything felt so communal and social, and some of the things that Bungie added to Halo 3 are definitely to thank for this. The pre-game and post-game lobbies, although present in Halo 2, always felt so alive in Halo 3. Way back when, before party chat was even a thought, everybody would be in these lobbies with their mics plugged in, ready to shit-talk each other at the start of the game. And then, after the game was finished, everybody would be back in these lobbies, ready to shit-talk each other some more. Times really haven't changed. This wasn't always the case though. Oftentimes you'd meet some people that you played well with or got on well with in game. For these situations, Bungie included one of the best and, quite funnily, the most minor features in the post-game lobby, the option to party up. By literally just clicking a button, you could party up with other people that you met in matchmaking without having to add them or message them or anything. You just hit X and you had a matchmaking partner. It was that simple, and it's amazing how such a basic feature probably created like tens of thousands of friendships over the years. And then you had Forge and custom games, which only enhanced this communal feeling. You'd always get messages and invites for customs lobbies from people that you met in matchmaking, who maybe wanted you to test their map out, or maybe play a few rounds of Duck Hunt or Trash Compactor with them. If you yourself made a map or something that you really liked, you could put it in your file share, and that meant that anyone that you met in-game, in matchmaking or in customs, could see it and download it and then spread the word. Thinking back, it's really weird that Halo 3 actually acted as sort of like a social network at times, where there'd be like viral screenshots and video clips that would spread around the entire community, like those chain emails from the early 2000s, or those posts that you see on Facebook now where people just tag their friends in it. It's really weird how Halo 3 sort of did that in-game. However, if you made a really damn good map or game mode, or maybe took a really cool screenshot or clip in theatre, there was always a chance that the gods from up high, Bungie themselves, would see it and maybe put it in Bungie favourites, where every single Halo 3 player could see, download and play it. And then, if it was truly special enough, you might even get that blessed mythical recon armor. Oh my god, back in the day, we used to dream about getting that beautiful piece of armor. The things people used to try and do to get it, like making crazy long, super detailed machinimas, or getting killed by a fucking traffic cone. The first person to ever get recon outside of Bungie literally got it by being killed by a traffic cone. What came out of everyone's personal quest for recon really sums up what a social atmosphere Halo 3 had. In short, Halo 3 is a timeless masterpiece. While not perfect, has created memories that are going to stay with millions of us forever. It's a game that should be cherished and never, ever forgotten. Thank you, Bungie, and happy birthday, Halo 3, you beautiful fucking game. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you made it all the way to the end, then thank you even more. If you enjoyed, you can like the video and also hit subscribe if you're new around here. And if you want to support me even further, you can sign up for an Audible free trial using my referral link, audibletrial.com/hiddenxperia. You basically get to choose one free audiobook from a list of tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands, and this list includes basically all of the Halo books, and you even get to keep the audiobook if you cancel the subscription before the end of the month. It also helps me out at the same time, so, you know, it's really a win-win situation. Thanks again for watching, guys. The Flood are finally back on Tuesday. I cannot wait. I'll be streaming Awakening the Nightmare the second it comes out, so look out for that, and I'll catch you next time.